6:20 in the morning. Actually 6:20. It's after 6:23 because I checked in for my commuter flight home tomorrow. I still feel really tired, but I can see the sun coming up. I'm gonna go back to bed. Catch you in a minute. I did find the coffee last night and it's tucked in this little cabinet, so I'm gonna try and brew some coffee. It is very, very foggy outside. Have a look. You can barely see. You can barely see what's out there. You see some palm trees in the distance. You see the California flag waving right here very faintly. The pool is out there. My coffee is starting to brew. So the fog has cleared up outside. It is now 12:54 p.m. When I woke up this morning, it was just before 8 o'clock a.m. I woke up, made myself a cup of coffee, had a piece of cheese for breakfast, and then watched a little bit of TV. And then I fell asleep. I think I've taken like a 2-hour nap, or maybe like a nap for an hour and a half. Now I'm showered, I'm awake, I am going to walk to a grocery store. There is a Ralph's nearby that is 0.3 miles away. So I'm gonna walk down to the Ralph's and buy a salad for lunch and a salad for dinner and maybe some snacks and probably a Red Bull, because this is one of those red-eye flights. and that should get me through the night. And I've kind of mastered, I think for me personally, when I fly these red-eye trips, these 3 days with the long layover, but you kind of have to squeeze 2 sleeps into it, I've kind of mastered it by having a full night's sleep when I arrive and then taking like a 4 or 5 hour nap before I head out. So that's like 2 hours that I have towards my 4 or 5 hour sleep. I'll probably have one more couple hour nap after I have lunch. And then that just seems to work for me. I'm able to stay up all night. And then when I land and I get home, it's not like I'm exhausted. I still have energy like a normal day. It doesn't feel like I've been robbed out of a night of sleep. And I'm able to carry on with my day. When before, when I just started these, it was like I would get home after doing a red eye and I would immediately fall asleep and kind of sleep the whole day away. I feel like I've mastered this, but I'll keep you posted if that's not the case with this trip. Anyhow, I am showered, I am clean, no makeup on yet, but I will put some makeup on when it's time to get ready for work, and then we'll get on with the day. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and head over to the grocery store and buy something to eat. I'm getting pretty hungry, and I'll show you outside. The fog has lifted. It's not foggy anymore. Some clouds up in the distance, but the fog has cleared. And there's actually people at the pool. There were people at the pool this morning when the fog was around. I just felt like that. It is so cold out. So everything is decorated so festive out here. There's lots of poinsettias. And there's the grocery store. It was a quick like 9-minute walk to the downtown Ralphs of San Diego. I have my bag of groceries. Now I'm just going to head back to the hotel, and I think later on we'll do a Q&A session. I'll answer some questions that I've received. Okay, so for today's video, since I've had this like over 24-hour layover, I thought I would do a little question and answer. And these are questions that I get from like a lot of passengers. A lot of passengers sometimes ask us questions. So I made a list and I'll go through them. The first question is, do we always fly with the same crew? Just had this question the other day, and it was from a passenger in first class, and they were complimenting us on how well the crew worked together, especially what they were observing, the 1 and the 3 in the front. They just said, it seems like the chemistry is great, you all work well together, it's a team effort, and I really appreciate that. And so they were surprised that no, we don't always fly with the same crew. It's very rare that I fly with someone that I have flown with in the same year or 9 months. No, your crews are always different most of the time. You can do something called buddy bid and choose to fly with like your friend, but no, most of the time, unless you're buddy bidding, which I don't think happens too often. I think I've only one time in the last 3 years have flown with someone that was on a trip because they buddy bid. Your crew's always different. So That's the answer to that question. Next question, are flight attendant positions always the same, even on different airplanes? And the answer is yes and no. So if you're the number 2 on the plane, then you're the number 2 across the board, but your responsibilities and your duties may change a little bit, especially amongst like the other numbers. The number 2 is usually always in the galley in some way or another. But for example, I'm the number 3 on this trip, and I have flown on 2 different types of airplanes. I have flown on the Boeing, and I have flown a leg on the Airbus on the same trip. My jump seat has changed positions because the aircrafts were different. My responsibilities changed a little bit in that when I was on the Airbus, I had to brief some exit row passengers, and but my duties stayed the same. I still assisted in first class, and then I went back and I helped in main cabin. So some things change, some things kind of stay the same, so it all depends. And if you're ever unsure, we do have a in-flight manual that will refresh our memory on what our positions are and what our boarding positions are. So my boarding position changed on the aircraft. So on the Boeing, I stood at the front by where passengers enter through the boarding door, and I greeted them. But on the Airbus, I stood nearer where my jump seat was, and that is the towards the main cabin, but the forward part of the main cabin. Next question is, what is the front of the airplane called, and what is the back of the airplane called? So the front of an airplane is called the forward part of the aircraft, and the back part of the aircraft is called the aft, A-F-T. That's the back part of the aircraft. I had someone ask me that, and also they were wondering what like the positions, not positions, but the names like on a boat. Okay, that was the door. I ordered more coffee because I have to work this red eye. So let me get back to what I was saying. Yes, the passenger was asking that question because they were going to be going on a cruise soon. And I do know from watching Below Deck that like the front of the ship is called something, or yacht or boat. The back is called something. The right side is called something, and the left side is called something. I know starboard is a word, but I don't know what it is. I will say that there's also aircraft right and aircraft left. The way you determine that is if you're facing the flight deck, aircraft right is your right hand side. If you're facing the flight deck, and aircraft left is your left hand side. There's a little bit of information for you in regards to that. What airplanes do I fly on? Mostly I fly on the Boeing 737 and the Airbus 319 and the Airbus 321. But we also have the Boeing, the Dreamliner, the wide body. So on most of the airplanes that I fly on, our minimum crew is 4 flight attendants. Unless it's the Airbus 319, that minimum crew is 3 flight attendants because it's a little bit of a smaller airplane. Let's see, next question is, I wrote them down. Not in my little notebook, although I have my little notebook here. I wrote them on this pretty stationery from the hotel. Do you have to share hotel rooms? No, we each get our own hotel room. We don't have to share those. And in training, I had my own hotel room too, but I heard back in the day, and maybe it's changed again because this was right after COVID. I had my own hotel room, but I heard way back when they used to share. You used to have to share with someone when you were going to training. That hotel room had to be shared with someone else. Do you have to pay for your own hotel? No, our hotels are covered by the company. So we don't ever have to arrange those. We don't ever have to make our reservations. When we're assigned a trip, our hotel information is in there. The hotel is aware that we are coming. Do you pay for gyms? No. In our contract, it does state that every hotel we stay in has to have a gym. So basically, I have a free gym membership. I should use it more. But it's hard. Sometimes it's hard traveling and finding time for sleep and all of that. Next question, per diem. Do you get a per diem? Yes, we get a per diem. A per diem is a small amount that you are paid for every hour that you're away from your base. So I do get a per diem whenever I am on a trip for the time that I am away from my home base, which is Miami, Florida. Do you get paid for boarding? Yes, we get paid for boarding. And this is something new that was just negotiated in our new contract, which went into effect October 1st, 2024. We now get paid for boarding. And boarding is a time that we are greeting passengers. Passengers are finding their seat, they're storing their luggage, and we are briefing our exit rows. So before, we did not get paid for that. Before, our pay clock started when the aircraft door closed and then stopped when the aircraft door opened. So during the time when passengers were boarding and during that time when passengers were exiting the aircraft, it used to be that we did not get paid, but now we get paid. So flight attendants are happy about that. After all, we're still working. Do you have a problem with jet lag? No, I think that some days I feel more tired than others, but for the most part, jet lag, it's kind of like I threw that clock out the window, and when I'm working, I'm going by whatever the time is on my phone because the phone will update time zones. I've been wearing a regular watch, so I do have to calculate the time on my watch, but thankfully we all have smartphones now and we just look at them and it tells us the time. But jet lag, no, I throw that out the window. I really concentrate on getting as much as a full night rest as I can to be well rested. And I just know some days I have to wake up early and some days I have to stay up extra late. That's just the way it is. And I kind of already answered this question. Do you have to wake up early? Yes. Some days I have to wake up at 3 a.m. and it depends on whether I am commuting to Miami and I have to catch that first flight, or sometimes our report times, we have flights as early as 5 a.m. I've even seen 4 a.m. flights. So if a flight is leaving at 5 a.m., we have to be at the gate before that. So on 5 a.m., sometimes I'm waking up at 3 a.m. And that's just the way it is. And like I said, I've kind of thrown that clock out the window, staying up late, waking up early. When I'm working, that doesn't matter to me. It's just the time that I have to wake up. And do I ever hit the snooze button? No, not when I am working. And I used to be someone notorious for setting 3 alarms and constantly hitting that snooze button. But since I became a flight attendant, I don't hit snooze anymore. And let me tell you, it is so much better to not be in the habit of pressing snooze. That really isn't restful sleep, the little tidbits of sleep that you get after hitting snooze. What are you thinking about when the plane takes off? So when an airplane is taking off, we are buckled in. We are looking for things. We're looking out our windows for any visuals that there might be a problem. We are listening to the sound of the aircraft to make sure that everything sounds normal and nothing sounds out of the ordinary, and we are sensing using our smells for scents, make sure nothing smells like it's burning or any of that. So in addition to keeping an eye on passengers, making sure they're all buckled in and seating during takeoff and landing, we are also doing these 3 things. We're also taking note of where our emergency exits are, and in the event there is an emergency in that time frame, what our course of action is as a flight attendant. So that's a very critical period, not only for the flight deck, but for the flight attendants as well. Some important stuff is happening, and we have to be on the ball. Do you get to fly for free? Yes, that's one of the benefits of our jobs. We get to fly for free, so we place ourselves on the standby list. And if there are unoccupied seats on a flight, then we get to occupy them and travel for free. Domestically in the US, that like genuinely for the most part is free. But if you've traveled out of the country, you do pay taxes on those tickets, but it's a significant savings and pretty much it's almost free. So, yes, that is one of the perks of being a flight attendant. I picked up my second page of notes. I think I've covered all of the questions though. Yeah. I've covered all the questions. So now it's 6:30. I don't have to be downstairs until 9. I'm just brewed another cup of coffee. That was why I paused earlier. Don't know if you caught that on the video, but I had to pause it. The gentleman brought me more coffee, more cream. I'm going to get caffeinated and I'm going to eat my dinner. I did walk over to the grocery store earlier and I did buy a sandwich for dinner. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, comments, anything, please leave them. I love hearing from you. And if you have not yet subscribed and you're interested in what the life of a flight attendant is like, then subscribe to my channel and I'll share with you what my life is like. All right, guys, until next time, bye-bye.